This is a story called The Little Monsters, Chapter 18. The kids run away from home and school. The kids are all at school and they've all been doing really well. Then one day someone steals some money and plants it in their school bags. When the teacher asks everyone to empty their bags and pockets, and the little monsters empty theirs, the money was in their bags. They were taken to see the headmistress, Mrs. Tinker, and when she asked them why they'd stolen the money, they said they didn't. She said to them, "If you kids didn't steal the money, then why was it in your bags?" "Please, miss, we didn't take the money, miss," said Stampy. Mrs. Tinker didn't believe them and she gave them all 6 of the best with a cane and phoned their parents. When their parents got there, they told the kids that they were in serious trouble and that they'd deal with them at home. The kids were sent back to class. Kicker said to the others, "I don't know about you guys, but I'm out of here and I'm not coming back. I'm going home to get my money out of my money box and some clean clothes, and I'm never coming back again." All the kids did the same thing. When they met up at the old skate park. They all went on their bikes because they knew they'd be able to get away quicker and that they'd be able to go further. They were all really upset, scared and hurt, but they knew that there was no way that they were going home or back to school to be punished for something they didn't do. They just kept riding their bikes until they couldn't go any longer. Then they rested for a bit. However, just as they stopped to rest and eat, they saw a police car and panicked. They quickly grabbed their stuff and their bags and hid in a field with very long grass. After the police had gone, the kids waited for a while and then they got on their bikes and rode until they found a cafe where they could eat. However, just as they'd finished eating, another police car went past and they quickly got up, left the cafe and hid behind it. As soon as the police had gone, the kids waited a while and then they got on their bikes and rode to try and find somewhere to stay. They found an old empty abandoned house with furniture in and they stayed there. They only went outside to go to the shop, which was only about a 10-minute bike ride away. Other than that, they never went outside, not even to play for fear of being seen. The house had running water and a fire for them to keep warm. However, after they'd been at the house for a week, they saw a police car pull up outside. They quickly grabbed their belongings and their bikes and went downstairs into the cellar. They even took everything they'd bought into the cellar as fast as they could so that there wouldn't be any trace of anyone being there. There was a window in the cellar and they could see out. They sat as quiet as mice and they didn't move or make a sound until they saw the police officers get back in their car and drive off. That night they all slept in the cellar in their sleeping bags that they'd brought with them. Another week went by and the kids were adamant that they weren't going home or back to school. They had more than enough food and money to last them for quite some time. They stayed in the cellar during the day for fear of being seen or heard. One day some people came to view the house and as soon as the kids saw them, they quickly bolted and locked the cellar door. Then they sat and waited for them to go. By this time, the kids were going out of their minds with boredom and they decided to set traps for when anyone else came to the house. When anyone did come to the house, they were met with the vile smell of stink bombs and fart gas, and they soon left. As they were leaving, the kids got their pea shooters and slingshots and they fired stones and dried peas at them. Of course, they thought this was funny, especially as the people didn't know where the peas and stones were coming from. The kids did this every time anyone came to the house. They always hid so they wouldn't be found or seen, and they always kept the cellar door locked and bolted so no one could get in. Thankfully no one spotted the cellar, so no one tried to get in, much to the kids' relief. After they'd been at the house for 3 whole weeks, Kika spotted a door in the cellar that they'd never seen before. When they moved everything away from it, they opened it and they couldn't believe what they saw. There was loads of toys still in their packaging, and there was another door that led outside. They realised that if they went through this door, no one would see them, as it only led to an open field in the middle of nowhere. They noticed that there was a swing and they decided to go and play on it. However, as they did so, a police car came past and they all ran and hid. They had their slingshots and pea shooters with them, and they fired stones at the police car, and then they hid so they wouldn't be seen. The kids knew that the police would be back and they were going to be ready for them when they did. They put mouse traps down on the floor next to the main door to the house. When the police came back and they opened the door and stepped in, they stepped on the mouse trap, trapping their toes, causing them to howl in pain. A few days later, another police officer came to check on the house. As he walked in through the door, he dropped his pen, and as he bent to pick it up, a mouse trap went off, trapping his Winky. He fell to his knees, howling in pain with his eyes rolling, much to the kids' amusement. Another police officer came in behind him and he asked him what was wrong, and he said, "My Winky's trapped in a mouse trap." The officer howled with laughter until he bent down to help his colleague, and not one, not two, but 3 mousetraps jumped up and trapped his ghoulies. He fell down and rolled on the floor, howling in agony with his eyes rolling, saying, "Oh, my ghoulies, oh man, my ghoulies." Of course, the kids thought this was hilarious. The officers managed to crawl to their car and get in and drive off. A few days later they came back, and this time the kids had put even more mouse traps down, and again they trapped the officers' ghoulies. The kids were watching from a safe distance, and as soon as the officers left, with the mouse traps attached to their ghoulies, they howled with laughter. However, what the kids didn't realise was that the police knew that they were there somewhere, but they couldn't figure out where. Then they spotted the cellar door, but it was locked. They found the key and they tried to unlock the door, but it was bolted on the other side. The kids stayed hid, and the police didn't find them. They stayed at the house for another 3 weeks. However, one day the sun was shining and the kids went to play on the swing they'd found. However, what they didn't realise was that the police were watching them from a safe distance. They went to the house and gathered up the kids' belongings on their bikes and put them in their car. Then they went to get the kids. By this time the kids were ready to go home, but they were frightened that they were going to be in trouble over something they didn't do. When they got home, their parents explained to them that they knew it wasn't them who stole the money. It turned out to be a new boy who had come to their school after being expelled from 3 previous schools for stealing. The kids were told off for running away, but they weren't punished. As for school, they'd only missed a week as it was the summer holidays, so they didn't have anything to catch up on. When the kids told their parents and Mrs. Applejack about the police officers and the mousetrap, they all howled with laughter. End of chapter 18. I hope you like it, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.